Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Oh, we got an echo. Hold on. There we go. No more echo. How's everybody doing this morning? Doing good, I hope. So couple channel announcements real quick before we get started. Man, my I gotta adjust my green screen again. The chroma, anyways. Couple of quick channel announcements, right quick. Number one, we hit 300 subs yesterday. 300. Um, I I mean, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty awesome. Um, the other thing, today I'm more than likely going to break the 4,000 hours watched. So that is also awesome. Thank you to all you guys that watch the content here. Just one more hurdle before we can really get this party started. The next big thing is 500 subs, and after that it'll be 1,000 subs. I'm hoping that maybe we can get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. That would be really, 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 really cool. It'd be really cool. Um, it'd be really awesome if we could do that by the end of the year. Last little bit of channel announcement. We do have some things coming up work wise for myself that's going to put the channel in flux for a little bit, like 2-3 weeks. The times are going to be erratic and ever changing until the work schedule gets settled down and I really figure out exactly what times I can be on and when I can hang out with you guys. Hoping it won't last that long and I can figure out fantastic times to chill with all you guys. So, yeah. Everybody doing good this morning? I hope so. I hope everybody's doing good this morning. I did forget something, though. I forgot my notes. I need to grab my notes real quick. Hold on one sec. I'm going to switch this. All right. I got my notes. We're going to be ready to kick this off here in just a second. Okay. So we're going to be hopefully going over a lot of different things today. But I thought we'd start it off with some funny stuff. I love this guy that we're going to check out real quick. And I think all you guys should check him out too, if you get a chance. Let me make sure that everything is switching over the way it should, because OBS sometimes likes to get a little weird. There we go. So, first thing we're going to check out is Wicked Wookie. If you guys haven't seen him, heard of him, definitely check this guy out. I haven't watched this video yet. I kind of can't wait to see what he has in store for us. I love this guy. I love this guy.
Good morning, Sam. This is Scooter, coming to you from the beautiful Rio's Brickyard on Damer. Today, we got the Drake Conair.
Put the bunny back in the box.
I mean Corsair. Now I know this shit may seem like it's just a missile-slinging, cannon-firing death machine from the Mad Max. But I'm here to tell you, this is a family vehicle. Yes, sir. You slap some wood grain paneling in a roof rack on the old girl, and you're ready to go to Wally World.
You may think you hate it now, honey, but what are you driving?
Now, of course, the most iconic feature of the Corsair is them origami wings. Now that's high class. Now, if you like them lowriders, you're gonna love this shit, Bo. Your cargo hold can hold one of them Linuxes, or razors, tauntauns, or weapons. In the middle of the ship, you got your maintenance terminal so you can perform all the essential ship functions. And in the kitchen, you got your picnic table with the entertainment station just above you.
Fat from this beautiful piece of meat.
And of course, the Corsair comes with all the amenities you would expect from an exploration ship. Like central heat and air, a hammer stapler, fire extinguishers, and a whiskey flask.
Oh, I love this guy.
And you also got these ATST turrets on the side. The ship also has 3 private crew quarters. The 600i doesn't even have private crew quarters. And the captain's quarters comes to these lock and wheel hubs off an 81 Ford Bronco. The Corsair's elevator is a great way to get in and out of the ship. Just be careful about going to the roof. Hey, Billy, you see that sand kite yet? Billy? And of course, your co-pilot, they go down there into the bridge basement.
It puts the Joe dirt in the hole.
All right, folks, if y'all want to take this old girl for a test flight, you just come on down and you tell Scooter sent you. Y'all have a good evening. Woo! All sales are final. Scooter is not responsible for ship fires, missing staples, or elevator malfunctions. Wood paneling is sold separately.
Oh, man, this
VTOL.
guy's hilarious.
Hello and welcome to some more Stars.
Whoa. I don't like that. It jumps right into that. I don't like it. So that was Wicked Wookie. If you guys haven't checked him, if you guys haven't gone over and given him a sub and a like, go ahead and do that. This guy's amazing. I love his stuff. It's hysterical. What's up, Jim? How you doing, man? So I figured we'd start with Wicked Wookie, have ourselves a good laugh before we get into some of the more serious Star Citizen stuff. I mean, everybody just keep in mind, this is just a game. Nothing to get our underwear in a bunch about. No space tractors, right? I love Wicked Wookie. If you guys, like I said, if you guys haven't checked him out, check him out. Go check him out. Give him a like, give him a sub. He's got hilarious stuff. Always makes my day when he's got a new one that comes out. So the next video we're gonna check out, and I haven't watched this one yet. I watched the beginning of it, and I was like, you know what? We should watch this together, get a conversation going on this. And to those just joining, thank you for joining the Tuniverse. Thanks for checking out Hot Take Tuna Tuesdays. I know there's a lot of other streamers going on right now that everybody could be watching, and thank you for spending your time with me. I appreciate that. So let's check out Lawless Baron, and this one is called Your Opinion Doesn't Matter.
What's up, everyone?
Yes, Your Opinion Doesn't Matter by Lawless Baron.
What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be going over why your opinion doesn't matter and your feedback doesn't really matter towards CIG in the Spectrum forums, or any sort of feedback on ships that you want to be developed, any sort of features you want in the game. And it's just, to me, it feels like it's something that's a waste of a breath and a waste of time. I see a lot of these threads in Spectrum.
I don't think it's a waste of time to bring your concerns to CIG via Reddit, Spectrum, Twitter, and whatever else they use. Twitch, I know a lot of their devs are on Twitch and visit a lot of content creators. I don't think it's a waste of breath. I just feel that sometimes what you would consider a concern is not a concern to everybody else. So you have to kind of look at it that way. And then also, you know, they are in the process of making a video game. So your experience is going to differ from other people's experience. And on top of that, they're really not going to make any changes based on your one opinion versus, you know, thousands of others. I mean, unless they all line up and coalesce and all that other stuff, then yeah, maybe they're going to make some changes. But let's see what else he's got to say.
And I just feel that even though they claim to be a company for the community, a lot of stuff does get done by suggestions on previous features that are already in the game. But it feels like when you see a thread or you see someone stating some form of a game patch or some form of a suggestion for a ship to get gold passed or anything that they really want added.
Well, the ships, we're going to get into the ships later, but the backlog of ships, somebody figured it out. It's along the lines of 40 years worth of work that needs to be done. Now, that's not linear. That is 40 years worth of labor that needs to be put in. So that's a lot of work. And for you, myself, and I don't care if you're freaking morphologist with, you know, what has he got, 2 million subs or whatever, what he wants is not going to trump what they have either already in the pipeline or what they want to do feature wise. So you can't come onto Spectrum, you can't come onto Reddit and Twitter and Twitch and all the other social medias that they run and be like, I need this ship done now because I want it now. It doesn't work that way. It's still their thing. So, you know, they're going to work on what they want to work on. They're going to work on what needs to be worked on. You know, that's not for us to decide.
It doesn't. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your breath. Don't go suggesting something you have no idea about. Wait for them to bring what they want to bring. The ships that are in the past and need to be developed, like the Perseus, the Polaris, all those old ships, let them get there. Let them get to the time. As John Carew once stated in an ISC, if they cannot meet a deadline on a ship, they will bring out a straight to flyable, they will bring out a new concept, and that's just one of the things that they do. Yes, we're getting older ships, the whole sea is coming, all these ships are coming, but it comes down to your opinion really has nothing to do with anything that happens. It has no effect. They might read it, they might discuss it, and it might not even get that far. It might be just you posting a thread. There have been threads that have been replied to, but it's not always going to have anything really positive to come back with. And you know, I see this all the time, and one of them is the HUD display in the ship. There could be something being done about this, but I feel like it needs to be tinted. The colors of your HUD display when you're shooting an enemy needs to be changed, because when it's a bright surface or a white surface, you can't see anything. You just don't know where you're firing. Like, it's just so dumb. And I guess you can use that. I think it's reshade. People use that all the time. And, you know, there's a massive debate. Well, there was a debate saying that, you know, you should be able to use that because it's technically cheating. Well, not really, no, because it's not really cheating. It's like optimizing and changing the game in a fashion that is advantageous to you. And in no way is it like affecting your aim, like it's not a wall hack or any of that type of stuff.
But I shouldn't have to use it.
It's enhancing and making it better until they do something about the features in the game that we need, you know. And it could always be as simple as like when you have a game, when you change for someone who's colorblind, it could just be that simple, you know, changing the HUD colors. But again, it's just one of those things. And like I said, you know, the title of this video is very, it's not clickbaity, but it is, again, something that is serious. And it's just, people need to realize that when you suggest something on the Spectrum forums, and a lot of people are going to go against this, and a lot of people are going to, you know, agree with you, and then there's all mixed sort of opinions on Spectrum. And I'm going to admit that, like, Spectrum is a pretty toxic place. It's just amazing.
Spectrum is a place that if I get bored, and no joke, Spectrum is a place that when I get bored and I want to see some manufactured drama, I pop up a bowl of popcorn, I grab a drink, and I sit on the couch and I start scrolling, because I'm either going to get a lot of good laughs, or I'm going to get, I don't want to say agitated, but like annoyed. That's the word I want to use, annoyed. I get annoyed with some of the crap that I see on there. And the fact that some people will speak a truth or a reality of the situation of a game, they get banhammered very quickly. And sometimes, and I won't name their names, but sometimes people will use, some people that are known within the community will put out an opinion or put out a suggestion, and even if it might be a good one, they still get banhammered just because of what their name is, or who their name is, or who they are. Not a big fan of the current HUD. It has been changed a lot over the years. I'm holding my breath that this is not the final HUD. Good morning, Mason. I hope so as well, Jim. I hope that they get what they need figured out and can move on from their bigger projects and address the HUD, because the HUD is an issue. It is, and it needs to be fixed. What is it? Their third time, fourth time going over the HUD? Maybe the fifth time's a charm. I don't know. But like you said, I'm not a big fan of the HUD, and hopefully it gets changed. I really don't want to have to download yet another third-party program to run Star Citizen and adjust the brightness and the gamma and the contrast and everything else that I can't adjust the way I want to within the game option. So hopefully the HUD is something that gets addressed. And I thought he was going to go a different route with this, but so far he's right. I want to reiterate what I said a few minutes ago. Just because you have a complaint or you have a suggestion or you have an opinion doesn't mean it's shared by a majority of the community. And on top of that, it may not even be shared by the devs. And if in reality, they're the ones making the game. They're going to do what they want, when they want, how they want it. And I don't want to say player be damned, but it's kind of player be damned. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's how they're doing it. And eventually when it comes to tweaks and fixes, they'll get around to it. But for right now, for you to just say, I need this fixed, or I want this fixed, or this needs to come out, or this ship needs to be done, they're not going to listen. It's just not going to happen.
Amazing how toxic it is on there. It's just, I can't believe that this community thinking that, they're so up there in this, high and mighty white knights, and they think they're better than everyone else because, this is an alpha and, their opinion, quote unquote, matters. But in the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of the features and that everything that is being put in the game. Given for 3.19, 3.18, suggesting that, saying that, it's a waste of time, and there's massive issues which we all knew and understood that was going to happen because of all the new tech that was being put in place on the.
See, since he had just talked about the HUD and Jim had just brought up the HUD, look at how dark it is, and then you look at the HUD and how bright it is. It washes out a lot of stuff, and you can't really see what's going on. And add into a dogfight or a ship-to-ship fight of any kind, you're on the dark side of a moon or you're in deep space, and you got the brightness of the HUD. You're trying to chase around a little fighter or even a medium or heavy fighter, or hell, even a Cuddy Black, and then you add in the weapon light, the weapon bursts when you're firing. It washes out so much stuff, and you can lose your target very easily. So it's something that needs to be fixed, but I think it's very low on their priority list right now.
Back end, everyone understood this, but a lot of people wanted to make a suggestion.
Squadron
thinking
42.
that they know best.
What a great meat shield that is.
It's just one of those things. Like 3.19 looks really, really good for the features that it has, but again, in the grand scheme of things, it's quite minute into what's going to be happening in 2023
really
of Star Citizen. So stop making suggestions. Stop putting your opinion on the Spectrum forums, because you're going to get a lot of hate. People are going to post some nasty stuff. I admit I go in there sometimes and I'll have a little bit of a troll and have a little bit of fun, have a bit of a chat sometimes. But it just needs to stop.
I don't post on Spectrum.
You just need to realize that when you are suggesting something, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to get anywhere with the CIG team. It might, like 1 in a million. It's like when you report a bug on the reporting thing. I don't know. I haven't been on that for so long. It's stupid because there's a lot of genuine issues out there, but it's all based off of like a veto system, like a voting system, if you don't know what that means. So, if it gets voted higher, well then, it's going to be more of a priority. If it's not really voted, it's more or less just ignored or put right on the back burners. Like the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer has so many issues, but yet they felt like they needed to upgrade that ship and they needed to make it functional for this salvaging gameplay. But they're like, you know what? We're not even going to fix this thing. We're just going to leave it broken. We don't even care about what your opinion matters, like if it matters at all, how you feel. You spend so much money on this ship. It just does not matter. And,
No, they've tried fixing it a bunch of times, and every time they say they fixed it, something else breaks. And then every time a new patch comes out, the elevator in the cargo area stops working. then they get it fixed again and it works for a few weeks and then it stops working again. So he's I don't want to say he's wrong, but he's not wrong.
Just don't want to. I don't want people to think I'm nasty or blunt about this, but it's just the facts of life and the way life is right now. And I think we just need to let CIG do their thing, move forward, and once we get further in, like once we have server meshing, once we have pyro, then we can start expecting bigger things. And you know, the fact that people don't like all these new concepts. What do you want? Do you want nothing? Do you just want no ships or no vehicles? Don't buy them. Don't complain about it. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. No one cares. Honestly, like, it feels like the scam citizen community and just the generality of the hate towards the game is, you know, it's getting quite substantial. And I felt like I was in that place, you know, for a while there myself. But again, I'm just sitting on the sidelines, letting everything happen. But again, I'm making a comeback and I'm bringing out more content. But let me know what you think. Like, let me know what you feel. How do you feel about what I've just spoken about? Is it something that you know that is quite of an issue to you? Do you think it's like not really something that matters, or should we all just be like complaining about one thing or a certain features? Because like I said, I don't think it really matters in the masses. Like, it just doesn't have any effect on what's happening in the back. And I could be very wrong, you know, but I just feel like that is one of the things. And it feels like, you know, they say they're an open company and they're here for the community and they listen to the community, but do you really listen to the community? Like Lawville 2.0, if you go and look at that on the CitizenCon when they spoke about it, and you look at it now, it doesn't look anything like what it was in the CitizenCon. And I could be wrong. It just feels like it's really rushed, and a lot of things that they have going here is just rushed. And, you know, I guess it's just my opinion. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the verse. Bye-bye.
Let me share this with you guys. That was Lawless Baron, and your opinion doesn't matter. So it's a double-edged sword to talk about this sort of thing, because your opinion does matter to the devs. It's just, how do I put this? Your opinion is only going to be weighed by the rest of the Star Citizen community. If you have an issue, or you're looking for a fix, or you're looking for a ship, or you're looking for whatever it is on Spectrum or Twitter, or however you're reaching out to these guys, they're only going to take a majority. It's like a majority vote, like pure democracy. They're going to take a majority vote, and that's what they're going to work on. They're not going to take, well, my little thing on my Avenger Titan doesn't work. I need this fixed. It's a big deal for me. Well, you're one in, how many accounts do they say they have? 4 million, 4.5 million accounts. You're one in 4.5 million accounts. Your tiny little issue or your tiny little problem doesn't really matter in the large scope of things. Now, if you got 2.5, 3 million of the users saying that these things are issues and these need to be worked on, then they're probably going to bump it up on their priority list. But just because you're whining because a certain feature in your ship doesn't work, or a certain elevator button somewhere in the verse doesn't work, or, you know, whatever your concern or your issue or your opinion is on a certain matter, I hate to say it, but it's a pure democracy thing. Unless the rest of the community sees it as an issue or sees it as something that needs to be worked on, et cetera, they're not going to drop what they're doing to work on that little thing that you have an issue with. And with the way the workload is split right now, from what I understand, it's 80%, 90% of their workforce is focusing on Squadron 42. So the resources that they have to work on the PU are limited and finite. So they're going to weigh it out, see what is a bigger issue or needs a fix, or any of the other variety of options that exist out there. They're going to weigh it and they're going to see what they can do with it. If it's something that they can quickly fixed, then they're going to get to it. If it's something that they can't quickly get to, then it's going to sit to the wayside until they have the opportunity, the time, and the resources for it. That's just the reality of life, and it's the same thing at any other corporation. You can walk into a Walmart and say, I don't like the way this is. Well, just because you don't like it, that's kind of too bad. Now, if they have 100 people go in there and say, I don't like this particular thing, they're probably going to look at that and see what they need to change. But your opinion, your voice, it only goes so far, and that's kind of why we get a multitude of people to join in on this. So that's, I don't know. I mean, I don't think this was clickbaity. It was kind of clickbaity, but it wasn't clickbaity. I think his opinion on this whole thing about sharing your opinion is valid to a point, but it's also invalid to a point. With that, you know the deal. You know the deal. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Okay, let's move on to the real meat and potatoes of things that have gone on this week. So we're on the last day of Invictus. So I figured we would. So we're on the last day of Invictus. So I figured we'd hit this stuff before Invictus was totally over. And this is the latest Inside Star Citizen storm warning. I already have an idea of what this is about. I haven't watched it. I've seen a few reacts to it, but I didn't finish them. So yeah, let's take a look at what this is all about.
Invictus is here, and with it a celebration of all things spaceship and space vehicle. And with today being both RSI and Tumbril Day, we've got introductions to 2 new ground vehicles for you this week, starting with an old friend ready to make our Constellation Phoenix complete, the RSI Lynx.
You're not wrong, Mason.
Ground vehicles in Star Citizen play quite a large role. Obviously, we have...
Wait, what?
Lynx.
Ground vehicles in Star Citizen play quite a large role.
Okay. I know there's not many people in the chat right now, but ground vehicles play a large role in Star Citizen. I'm going to tell you right now, this vehicle that they show on screen is the only one that has a gameplay loop for it. It's the only one that is consistently used across the verse. It's the only one that you can use to make money in. What are all the other vehicles for? What are all the other vehicles for? We have the Cyclones, four variations of the Cyclones. We have the Ursa rover. We have the Nova tank. We have the Ballista. I'm trying to think of what else. We have the Centurion. We have the PTVs. We have the STVs. What are they used for? Like, what actual gameplay loop is in there for those vehicles? How are you making money with those vehicles? What are you doing with them? A large role in the universe? No, they have, of 99% of all the activities that are done, 99% of all the events that are done, what are you using the ground vehicles for? You could argue, okay, the new Ghost Hollow mission, you could use some tanks, some ballistas to hold down the area. Jumptown, same thing. You could use the tanks or the ballistas to hold down Jumptown. You might get away with using an STV or a PTV to sneak into one of those areas. But what else are they there for? Oh, wait. I forgot another option. You took a hostile bunker or one of the drug bunkers and you landed 2,000 meters away and you drove there. Those are the only 3 options I can think of right now. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I don't see a point to ground vehicles at this time. outside of those 3 options that we're given right now. That's it. That's all you get is those 3 options. So, you know, whatever.
Obviously, we have these fully realized full planets and moons. You don't always want to spend all your time flying over them in your ships. We're going to have things coming online in the future, such as weather, that's going to make that prohibitively more dangerous to do.
Okay. Weather. They talked about weather. I've been going back and rewatching a lot of Citizen Cons and things like that. If I'm not mistaken, they talked about having hostile weather in either CitizenCon 2016 or 2017. It's 2023. You're talking about weather and having to use vehicles for something that you dreamed up 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and it's still not in the game. So once again, there's still no use for it. There's no use for it. I understand that, yes, you need to have the assets available before you make the weather, or maybe you should make the weather and then have the assets available to do it. I'm not sure in which order you would want to do this. That's, you know, I'm not a game designer, game developer, but please don't get on camera and tell me that ground vehicles are this huge, massive part of Star Citizen when you literally use them for nothing. Like, what are we using them for?
Flying is the main traversal type, but of course with ground vehicles, there is so much more to explore on planets. It adds so much diversity to the missions that we have.
I feel like ground vehicles are an opportunity for players to have fun and explore the terrain of our lovely planet, not from, you know, going in from a top side, but really getting in and around with the dunes and the broken ships and stuff.
Okay, I get that the artists
The
are trying
fun,
to sell
the dynamic. You know, you get some feedback from the road if you enjoy driving.
the vehicles.
It's something for you, isn't it? It's not always a spaceship.
You need to have the options. I mean, if you don't have a
Oh yes, let's talk about PTV racing. You know, if any of you guys play the game, I'm sure you guys have gone to the PTV tracks and have not been able to race because there's just so many people in line to race the PTVs, right? You know, there's just so many people. You're 50 people in line, right? Yeah.
ship, how are you going to get from A to B? You need something to get you there, and if you're going from A to B, then someone's in the way, you get a tank.
But once again, what are you using the tank for?
At Invictus Launch Week, we're introducing 2 new vehicles to the game, the drivable RSI Lynx and a concept vehicle, which we'll talk about later. The Lynx was introduced alongside the RSI Constellation Phoenix back in 2014. It was mentioned...
Okay, you guys heard what he just said there, right? Back this up a little bit.
RSI Constellation Phoenix back in 2014.
2014. This was introduced with the Constellation Phoenix in 2014. It's been 11 years, my dude. 11 years, my dude. And you're just getting the links out to us? 11 years for this ground vehicle. Look, I don't want to shit all over them, but I'm kind of going to shit all over them. 2014. It's been 11 years, my dude. 11 years. No, wait. My math is wrong. It's, yeah. Oh, God. My math is wrong. But you get what I'm saying. It's been 9 years. 9 years. 9 years for a ground vehicle.
It was mentioned as it's sort of an add-on to the Phoenix.
The Lynx is RSI's more luxury counterpart to the Ursa rover.
It expands the capabilities. I suppose there's an element of, I don't know, showing off maybe.
It's for the distinguished individual who likes to travel in style.
It serves a different purpose to
I'm
the
gonna let him
Ursa.
go a little
It's
bit
very much
before I
for
start shredding
VIP
this.
transport and exploration. We've taken some stuff from the Scorpius. We've taken some stuff from the Ursa itself. We've invented other stuff from scratch because not everything that we
And it
needed
took
already
9
existed.
years.
It is fun and fancy.
I think the exterior is amazing. It's got so many great angles, and it just looks so RSI. It just comes together really nicely. We took the Ursa.
Okay, I can't. We just talked about what use are ground vehicles. Okay, I'm trying not to shit all over them. I'm trying not to. I really am. But we just discussed what use is there for a ground vehicle. And now you give us this. It's billed as a luxury transport vehicle. What the hell are you going to do with this? Once again, there is no other... There's no game loops. There's no way to make money in it. Okay. Maybe in 3.20 or 320, whatever you want to call it, maybe we get those settlements scattered throughout planets and moons throughout Stanton, and maybe you get a transport mission to transport a local from point A to point B, or maybe they make it more complicated and you got to go to point A to point B, an event happens, and then you go to point C and you finish it off. Maybe we get that. But that's 3.20. It could even be 3.21 if they go that route, or even 4.0. So once again, we're being delivered a vehicle with no use, no gameplay, no way to make money in it, nothing. So it's a tier 0, or as Grumpy would like to call it, a tier -1. It looks cool. Great. Yay. And it's 9 years late. Hello, Johan. Good morning. I said this on another review of the links, and I will say it again. If we had city streets and shops to go into the cities, then I would use this. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But, you know, I can understand with the settlements that are coming online in the next patch, or 2 patches, or 3 patches from now. But once again, we're being delivered a vehicle 9 years late, since it was supposed to be out with the Constellation Phoenix. And it has no gameplay loop, and it adds no value. So to me, I think this is kind of and I'm trying not to shit on them, but I think this is kind of a shit thing that's far too late.
And we basically made it beautiful.
It trades out some of that rugged utilitarian functionality for just a more enjoyable experience to ride around exploring in the back of.
So it's a lot of clean, glossy panels, higher quality materials, and less dense detail, more focusing on angular lines.
We're very constrained with the overall size dimensions. It has to fit in the Phoenix, so we couldn't make the vehicle any longer, wider, taller, so we had to work to the same footprint.
We've tried to not have too much visible mechanics on the outside of it, because you don't want to go up to a fancy luxury car and just see the engine just there. You know it's a car, you know it's got an engine, you don't need to know where the engine is. You just want it to look good whilst you're actually getting from A to B.
It's very nice design.
Look, I'm being very critical of this vehicle. I will say this. It does look nice. It does. It does look really nice. But all my other opinions still stand. Whether it looks nice or not, my opinion still stands.
Alberto, our concept artist, did a very good job on that. We had quite a lot of references to new electric trucks, that type of thing. Got a clean day running lights. As you go round to the side, you've got like a peek-in window of the cockpit. So underneath you can sort of see feet. I don't know why you'd want to see feet, but yeah, you can.
Some people like the feet.
And then we've got the suspension uprights, which are finished in like a goldy colour, which is quite nice. It's quite ornate for something that sort of takes the load of the vehicle.
I might have to wait for that answer,
that kind of thing. A very nice 13-piece door.
We got a 13-piece door. Now, the next vehicle that comes out, is it going to be 16-piece, 19-piece, or are we going to scale down and do like 10-piece or 8-piece door? Look, I'm trying my best not to crap on these guys, but I'm kind of annoyed with this vehicle right now.
13 piece on my side, you're not going to see 13 pieces.
I think my favorite thing on the links is the wheels. They are quite unlike anything else we've got in the game.
Cool.
We've tried to go for wheels that would seem a little bit more luxurious, so we've gone for a shape that will kind of make them a little bit quieter.
They look pretty cool. They're very evocative of those sort of sand racing tires with the big ribs on them. They give it a very strong visual identity from the outside.
My favorite thing about the links is the huge rear windows.
It's got this lovely wraparound window.
Cool.
It just creates a very different atmosphere inside the vehicle.
Whether you're having in-game business meetings or just chilling with your friends, having that scenery so
right now they've given us two uses: LARPing and LARPing. Cool. All right, cool.
Display right next to you really adds to the whole experience when you're just sat in the back with your champagne.
When you step in, we've got some TVs that pop out of the sides of the panels.
Okay, I'm seeing stock market and commodities. I'm not going to pledge for this. I'm not going to. But do we have any idea whether or not these panels are going to actually work with the in-game current commodities? And I did see on the other one, let me back it up just a little bit.
When you step in, we've got some...
Right there, they got... I'm not sure if that's supposed to be stock or more or just a different display of commodities. But once again, are people going to pledge? And by the way, and I'll go over it again. This is a $60 standalone vehicle, or $55 with war bonds or store credit. No, $55 standalone and $60 with store credit. Are people going to spend their $55 or $60 of store credit to get this thing and not have these panels work? Or they're just going to be dummy panels and they're going to constantly say the same thing like they do right here on screen? I kind of got to say, I kind of don't see it actually working. And I see people pledging their $55, $60 for something that's going to always be static like this and never actually work for another 3 years. Once again, I'm doing my best not to shred them and shit on their project, but this is, I'm sorry, but this is borderline stupid to me. To other people, they might say, oh, well, I LARP all the time and I need a luxury thing for the things that me and my friends do. And, you know, this will fit perfect with my Constellation Phoenix that it was supposed to be with in 2014, or this will fit perfect with my 890 jump or my 400i or my 600i. I'm not sure if this will actually fit in there, but for LARPing, okay, I get it, but I see no other functionality beyond that.
TVs that pop out of the sides of the panels,
if they
some
work,
personal storage, and
or
seats,
static,
which move, and you can push a button and they will spin around. You've also got a location for storage, which obviously folds away so that if you've got something you just want to put up there, you don't have to see it, but you know it's there. We've also got a weapons rack. It folds itself away and it pops out. It's got some nice little smoky glass doors on the front of it.
The lighting is designed to be a more habitable area for your luxury passengers.
We have a magnificent full-length fridge, and off to the left we've got a couple of shelves where you can store stuff. We don't say...
Speaking of luxurious, this man has a luxurious beard. Maybe that's the theme we're going for here.
It's a drug storage location, but secretly it is a drug storage location.
Does that mean
don't
it's
tell the
unscannable?
cops.
Is it unscannable then? I would assume so. I would assume it's unscannable.
Compared to the base Ursa, the Lynx is a little more agile, a little faster.
Of course.
It's like this because it just has less weight to it, less.
We made a new vehicle, so we made it better. So you guys buy this one and forget about the Ursa Rover. Honestly, if I was okay, I do buy vehicles in game, and I have bought an Ursa Rover on several wipes, but I use it at places like Jumptown, or I use it at bunkers and stuff like that, just because I get tired of using the PTV, or I get tired of using the Cyclone, or, you know, whatever. But I don't think that if this goes in game anytime soon, I would ever buy it for any reason at all. I mean, yo, you're down for. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be putting this at the prison. It'd be a very luxurious escape vehicle for prison at Klesher. But I don't see a reason to buy this in game over the Ursa.
Carrying capability, so it can trade that off for speed. And the two people that are sat in the back in relative luxury have a much nicer experience seeing the sights of the universe around them. Compared to the other ground vehicles in events such as the Daymar Rally, I think this is going to be a strong competitor. It's going to be really interesting to see which players prioritize over the other, whether you take the speed of the Lynx versus the increased durability of the Ursa itself. But you don't often see Bentleys racing against other vehicles in real-life rallies, so maybe not as durable as the others.
This is for people that like to get from A to B and look like they're in a good car when they're doing it.
I think the fantasy of having someone chauffeur you around while you're sitting in the back drinking cocktails or the champagne and looking at your business portfolio while just the world of Star Citizen goes on around you. It's pretty cool.
It's also for people who'd never be caught dead racing in a mule.
So that's the new way to get around the surface of Stanton's planets and moons in style. But what about those who want a bit more pew-pew with their hot looks? Just go with it? Well, Tumbrel has you covered with the latest in planet-side mobility and destroyability with the Tumbrel Storm. Let's find out more.
Hello again.
Now, this I am interested in. But once again, I'm not pledging or buying anything that's a backlog or a concept. And we'll get into that. We'll get into why in a little bit.
It is once again myself, John Crew. Let's talk about the concept vehicle that we're introducing at Invictus Launch Week, the Tumbrel Storm.
The
Tumbrel Storm is a light/scout tank from Tumbrel. In a lot of combined armed forces, you rely on reconnaissance on the ground to let you know what's coming ahead. And whilst we do have an array of ground vehicles that can do this role, not very many of them are as heavily armored as a tank. And sometimes reconnaissance goes a bit sideways and you need some firepower to help get you out of that situation. So the Storm is really excels in this scenario. It can be ahead of the fleet on the ground, engage targets and hold its ground before the main force of ground vehicles arrives for backup. One aspect that we wanted to change from the traditional tank and Nova setup is making this energy weapon based.
Okay,
so
that's
it
cool.
had a much greater independence from the main task force on the ground, and that it wasn't constrained by ballistic ammunition. So it has
like
an energy
that.
autocannon.
Okay, here's an issue that I have with it. Okay, it's very futuristic looking. It's energy, the main cannon's energy. So that's cool. So you're not going to have to constantly be running around trying to restock this thing, restock a tank like this. But here's my thing. It's too flat. And I don't mean it's too flat this way. I mean, it's too flat along the sides. You have a little bit of slope on the front. The back, from what I saw, is very flat up and down. You don't want tanks. You know, if World War I and World War II taught us anything, you don't want to have tanks that have flat sides like this and a flat front. I mean, the front is still pretty flat, especially at that tip where the four lights are. It's pretty flat. And then the back was pretty flat as well. You want it to be angled so that rounds deflect off of it. You know, you don't want to take a shot straight on into a flat spot like this, whether it's along the tracks, whether it's in the front, whether it's in the back. It doesn't matter. I feel it needs to be a bit more angular. And the other thing that I see is, okay, if you do hit above the lights, now I doubt Star Citizen will ever have this in there, but it angles it straight up into the cannon. So if you do get hit from the front at, you know, a 90 degree, I think that would be 90 degree, a 90 degree angle to 110 to 110, you're going to deflect the shell directly into the autocannon or laser cannon or whatever they're saying, and it would disable it immediately. So that's an issue. Is Star Citizen ever going to do anything like that physics-wise? I kind of doubt it, but you know, yeah, it does have a shield. It more than likely has a shield. I mean, the Nova has a shield. This is going to have a shield, but I don't know. I think it should be more angular, but that's just me. I mean, it looks cool as a futuristic tank. Don't get me wrong, it looks cool. It does. And I do like the fact that it's an energy-based weapon on top instead of the normal ballistic cannon that you would have on the top. So that's pretty cool. I mean, there's some things to like about it. I don't know how fast it's going to be, but I would assume it's probably twice as fast as the Nova. So I see some uses for it at, once again, like we discussed, Jump Town, Ghost Hollow, maybe taking out some of the turrets outside of bunkers. But until they actually make more solid game loops, or they actually do theaters of war, I really don't see that many uses for it. I'll let them continue after I'm done. Now that I'm done with angles and shell deflection and all of that stuff.
On top, twin-barreled to help lay down firepower, really only constrained by the size of its capacitors and power plant. The Storm is really designed for supporting Novas in attacks. It can take on most other ground vehicles. If you're brave, you can take on a Nova with it, but you probably want to bring a friend or two to help even the fight.
What's up, JT?
I received the task to complete a new vehicle. I was told to do a tank, most precisely something that would have become a killer of killers. We had to go back to the origins of Tumbril and let this new tank look less like the Nova tank and more like the Cyclone. So it was important to
I see it.
Get back that aggressiveness and that dynamics that the Cyclone had. So we opted for something a little less classical and went on a design that is absolutely more related to the manga and anime's world. When people see the Storm for the first time, I want them to feel scared.
It does look cool.
There is no flimsy paneling, there is no...
I think they said it's a size 3
beautiful refined surface. This is just optimal and very, very dynamic. So we don't have a lot of parallel lines. We have a lot of X's and V's, very strong shapes that deline what is popularly recognized as dynamic and aggressive. The interiors of the Storm will feel...
Okay, so it does have a little bit of a... So it slopes up, and then the back, it slopes down or slopes up, depending on which way you're looking at it. So I see the same issue here. Not so bad coming from the rear, but if CIG were to ever add deflection and physical things like that, a lot of shells from a Nova, especially if you're engaging in tank battles, a shell from a Nova is going to basically ride right up the front of that or ride right up the rear of that and hit the autocannon or the laser autocannon that's up there. I think they said it's size 3. I don't know if that's enough of a bite to take on a Nova, even if you do get to its rear. I just don't think that's... I don't know. I just don't think that's enough. And as a single-seater, I mean, like I said, I think it looks cool. I think it'll function cool in game. I'm not going to pledge for it, especially when I tell you what the price tag is later.
Really full of pipes, of fabric, of mechanical stuff.
So it looks like it does have... Let's go back here.
X's and V's, very strong shapes that deline what is popularly recognized as dynamic and aggressive. The interior...
Yeah, so it does have a weapon rack right here, and it does have an area where you can get... That's either storage right here or for components. One way or the other, you're going to be able to fit it looks like a single rifle in there, and then whatever this size ends up being.
Of the Storm will feel really full of pipes, of fabric, of mechanical stuff. It have to look basically ventral, like you have just been eaten by a machine. So what we have is very composed design, something that is uncommon in the tank we know today. So what we wanted to achieve when you look at the Storm is fast. Strike fast, move fast, do everything fast, no need to rely on a crew. I like that it looks a bit like an animal. It's very, very snaky, or looks a bit like a crocodile.
Now, of course, the big question everyone always asks for every new concept promotion is when? When will it go into production? Well, let's go now to the vehicle team in our Los Angeles studio and find out more.
The problem is where my story goes is always I will identify all of the issues that I have to overcome first, and then like build a plan for breaking them down. So I'm trying to think of a way of phrasing it, you know? We had a lot of cleaning up to do to make sure it was worthy of the engine, it's ready for engine, it's not going to break anything when it goes in there. And that was what most of the initial white box work we did.
Oh,
at
so
least from an
they've
art
already
side.
gone past white box.
For design, we were more concerned about alleviating a lot of the issues we knew were present with the Nova, stuff like traversing on uneven terrain, exiting the hangar. These are issues we solved first, rather than waited until later in production and realized there were more difficult tasks to overcome.
So most recently, we finished Gray Box. We completed all the animations. Currently, I am doing a material and detail pass on the tread housings for the Tumbril Storm. This thing has challenged me in ways I haven't been challenged before in working in the game industry. For example, the treads took a couple different iterations so we got right, and be able to get like the right movement as it deforms to the ground planes. This ship is definitely more organic than anything I'm used to, and I suppose it's like its own challenges, but it's been a learning process.
The art is to continue on to LOD0, finalizing all of the...
See those vents back there? If I was a tanker or anti-tank infantryman, those vents right there in the center, in between those two posts where the sleeping bags are, or the duffel bags are, or dry bags, or whatever they are, that's where I'd be aiming. Put it right up there and watch that thing explode. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's armored, some sort of high quality special armor I don't know about, but that's where I would put that shell or that anti-tank round if I was anti-infantry or a tanker. That's just me. I mean, as I said, I don't want to keep shitting on this. It is a cool concept. I just, as we've been over before, the uses are limited, and I don't think they say this is a killer of killers. I really don't think you're going to be able to go toe to toe against a Nova in this. Probably a Ballista or a Centurion. You'll be able to get into them pretty quickly.
The art assets.
Good morning, Squirrel.
Making sure everything's going to be correct for when we move on to all of our higher detail.
See, and the other thing too about tanks is the more moving panels that you have on the outside like this, the more chance of things going wrong. And as you can see, these are all hollowed out. Tank shells are just going to go right through it. But once again, I'm looking at this from, physical stuff that they're probably never going to do. Good morning, Pork Chop.
Tertiary details that will go into it later.
Yeah,
everything from the way the doors open on the tank to the cockpit itself. When you go inside this thing, it's like stepping into a mech. It's completely different from any other vehicle I've seen in this game.
My favorite thing about the Storm is going to be the role of it. The Nova is a very, very big tank. It requires 3 people. It's got that big size 5 cannon.
3 people.
You don't always need a size 5 cannon. Some people may disagree, but I don't think you do. The Storm is a little bit quicker, only requires 1 person. It kind of sits in a really good spot between something very quick like a Cyclone and something a little bit more punchy like the Nova.
I'm excited the progress that the team has made on this. It's been a real beauty to work on, and it should be a lot of fun for the players.
Stranger, what's up? Thank you guys all.
So what did we learn this week?
So what did we learn this week? We introduced 2 new vehicles. The RSI Lynx, which was, announced in 2014. So, that's 9 years late. The RSI Lynx is a luxury vehicle with no purpose other than to look cool while you're driving around Jumptown or Ghost Hollow, or you took a hostile bunker and that's what you are you know, I don't know, or you're LARPing that you're a businessman. I don't see the point of it. I really don't. You know, maybe you guys in chat or in the comment section can tell me something that I missed for what it's going to do now. The way I look at it is it's a tier 0 vehicle with no use and no purpose, like most of the other vehicles in this game. If you missed it, I went over before. There is no use for the ground vehicles outside of doing hostile bunkers, jump town, and now Ghost Hollow. There's no need for, like, there's no use for them other than the rock. The rock is the only vehicle that has an actual purpose within the game. Now, the storm. Let's talk about the storm for a minute. It looks cool. It's probably going to be awesome just to go fast and have twin size 3 cannons on the top of it. Do I think you're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with a Nova? No, I don't. Do I think 2 or 3 can take on a Nova? Yeah. Do I think this would be like if you were at Jump Town and you knew a team already had ballistas on the ground or Centurions on the ground? I think this would be great to go after them in. That being said, for $70 or $80 credit, nah, man, nah, I'm out. I'll wait until it's in game available. I'm not paying $80, 70 to $80 for that. If it was 40, I'd think about it long and hard. I really would, because I think it looks cool. I think it will eventually have a purpose, but once again, it's another tier 0 vehicle that doesn't have a purpose outside of Jump Town or Ghost Hollow. I just don't see it. Like I said, in comments, in chat here, if you guys can point out something I'm missing, please do. But that's what I learned this week in Star Citizen, inside Star Citizen. Thank you, Jared. Thank you to the rest of the crew. I didn't want to shit on your guys' vehicle concepts. You guys did work hard on them, but I think there was, I don't want to say a waste of time and resources, but I think that time and resource could have gone to other things. Look, I know you're trying to get new money into the project, but I think this could have gone differently. That's, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. I think they could have done something differently. With that, thanks for watching, and so long. Thanks for all the fish. Okay. Let's, before we get on to the next one, let me catch up on chat here, because now we got a lot of people in here and very active. Rock DS also has some use, albeit not practical. Very true. The DS, I look at the Scorpion Antares as the Rock DS with wings. Rover can traverse up the tallest mountain in Microtech or Yella, moving troops to JT. That's it. Yeah, that's really, I mean, Jump Town, Ghost Hollow, and Hostile Bunkers are really the only use I see for ground vehicles right now. That's it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, at the beginning of the video, they said that ground vehicles play a large part in Star Citizen, and that's just not true. Squirrel, if they made better bunker missions where the bunker was fortified, then the Nova tank would have a purpose. Oh, exactly. Or, you know, we could take out the turrets and then land more troops. Like if it was those new underground bunkers that they showed off at, I think it was CitizenCon, then yeah, I would be all for it. But we know that those bunkers are probably a couple of years away. But it would be really, really cool. It would be really, really cool if we got that. I would enjoy that a lot. Let's get to the next comment. I'm going to share that link with you guys in case you guys want to watch it on your own. Someone will jump the storm onto the top of the 890 jump and use it as an additional class 3 gun on top. Oh yeah, just like they do with the Nova and sometimes the Ballista as well. Das, welcome to the chat. How are you doing? good morning, or good evening, wherever you are at. Wonder if you can drive. Oh, I saw your safe bunker video. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wonder if you can drive a tank out in space and use it. It doesn't quite work like that. I haven't done it in a long while, but yeah, that would be, it'd be interesting if you could do that. Oh, afternoon. We need bunkers only tanks can get to, and not ships. That would be awesome. Pyro buildings might be good purpose for ground vehicles in the future. Yeah, here's the thing.
It is pointless to resist.
Thank you for subbing, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Das. I appreciate it. I see the future of Star Citizen, but right now with a lot of the stuff that goes on, I don't want to say I don't think so, Pork Chop. I think it's still there. I see the future of Star Citizen. I see where they want to go with it. I see a lot of what they want to do with it, but I sometimes have a very hard time not being negative and not, as I said, shitting all over their concept work and ways for them to get new money into the project, because that's what this is. It's a way to get new money into the project. And as much as I hate it, I understand why they do it, but I still kind of hate it, if that makes any sort of sense. I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to poo-poo all over the hard work that they do, but I'm kind of poo-pooing all over the hard work they do because selfishly, I want Squadron 42 to come out. Selfishly, I want more of the in-game systems to come out. And I don't mean solar systems. I mean the in-game systems to come out. And I just want them to, like, make the universe a bit better than what it is now. So a lot of the vehicles, the ships, and things that we already have more of a purpose than they do now. You know, that's what I would like to see. You know, maybe you guys share a different opinion or have a different opinion, but I think we have a lot of. I discussed it in another video a long time ago. I said CIG needs to give us the tools, and the players will use those tools within the sandbox to create a lot of fun. And I feel like there's a lot of tools and a lot of systems already in place for us to have a ton of fun right now. They just need to let us have it. Correct, Uncle Pork Chop, correct. So since we are talking about Star Citizen, inside Star Citizen, Star Citizen Live, let me check the time. I'm up against the clock as usual on a Tuesday morning, but we're going to do inside Star Citizen. There's going to be a little caveat to that. I'm not going to cover the tractor beam portion of it. I did watch the tractor beam portion of it. Basically what it comes down to is we're going to continue to have 1 and 2 SCU boxes, but they also talked about or debuted or something like that 32 SCU boxes that are going to be available, and you'll be able to move them with ship tractor beams. The ship tractor beams are also going to have their sizes rescaled. It's no longer going to be done by weapon component size, so it's not going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as they said originally. It's going to go off of ship components being size 1, size 2, size 3, and the size 3s are going to be the ones that are going to be able to move around those 32 SCU boxes, and they're going to be the ones that move around vehicles and ships, and I would assume asteroids eventually as well, and maybe even rocks off planets. And they kind of went over that, but there's some things that I want to touch on in Star Citizen Live that I think are very, very important to not only the current state of Star Citizen, but the future of Star Citizen. Before we get to that, I want to get to a couple more of these comments. I feel like a broken record. Too many concepts while unfinished ships are left and forgotten about. Yes. I want things to persist across shards. If this If this is server meshing, then this would solve this. So, you want to know what I found out the other day about 30K protection? So everybody was screaming that we needed 30K protection, right? Did you know that with 30K protection, so let's say you are out mining and you accidentally blew yourself up and you don't want to pay that 200 grand to get your mining modules back when you claim the ship, right? You could grab either another ship and go and pick those up. You could talk to a buddy or a friend or find somebody in global chat that would want to help you out with that. So what's going to happen with 30K protection is that goes away. If you reclaim that ship, or if you get a 30K or you explode and you reclaim, that stuff is going to start going away. So that's an interesting symptom, or I'm not sure how you would, coincidence of 30K protection. So while 30K protection is going to be nice for cargo haulers and things like that, it is going to kill a little bit of some of the other gameplay that persistent entity streaming gave us. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, you know, be aware of it. You know, it's a thing. But I took a bunch of notes on this topic or on this video. So if you see me jumping around to specific spots, it's because I want to touch on those subjects. I don't want to dissect a almost two hour discussion, or hour and 15 minutes, because I'll turn it, between us commenting and me talking, we'll turn it into a 2-hour discussion for sure.
All right.
So once again, we're at the tail end of Invictus, and we're going to cover Star Citizen Live, and we're going to hit on a few major points that they talk about throughout Star Citizen Live. And I'd like to know what you guys think about all of this. So, you know, hit me up in the comment section, hit me up in chat. Give me your opinion, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about all of this. And let's go ahead and start this right about here.
Hosmer helped me, but I got a great cat PGV to fly around, and it had two giant scaled up arms with fists in the front.
Right here.
I could just fly around. So I mean, I feel like we're on the same wavelength, man. I feel like
we can make it happen.
I feel like we can make it happen.
Submersible variant.
What?
Don't start the spaceship submarine argument again.
Come on.
All right, so we're about halfway through
this is what I wanted to hit on.
Let's
this
jump
is the
into
first
some
part
questions.
that I want to hit
jump into
on.
some back questions. So these were questions that were submitted on Spectrum and voted up by you, the viewers, and in no particular order here. Saw this one coming. How do you expect to work through the backlog of ships? And at what point in the game can we expect larger ships such as the Kraken, Polaris, and Perseus? Now,
excellent question.
One question. So, but
so I already want to preface this with, they're already annoyed. I forgot to make this big. My bad. They're already annoyed because they're being asked a one question. Now, before I started, about a year before I started, maybe a year and a half before I started, they put out a thing saying they were getting very upset with people asking the when question and people being roadmap watchers. They don't like that, because when they don't meet a deadline, the players and the fans call them out on it, and they don't like it. So I just want you to know why they have become suddenly, why Jared has suddenly become annoyed. Thank you, JT. I appreciate that. And thank you all for the 9 likes this morning or this afternoon or evening, wherever you may be in the world. And I appreciate you spending your time here.
Let's go with the core here. How are we expecting to work through this backlog?
Cool. I'll start, and then others can chime in if they want. So the last year or so, we've been really sort of improving and
it is just
making
an
the
idea
pipeline
board.
work better. Mark and Corey have done a great job revitalizing all the documentation that sort of I wrote years ago and we've just lived with. But because I've done more and more leadership and directorship, I've not been so hands-on with things. So they've taken that over and built the pipeline. The last 2 ships we've released have gone through sort of that new pipeline and things have mostly gone smoother. Still doing some tweaks as we go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, big ships need a lot of resources to make them. And where we want to get to is a place where we're still delivering the same amount of content as we do now a year, as well as 1 to 2 capitals a year on top of that and supporting all the other teams like we do. And at the end of the day, that just needs more people. So
you want to get to the point of delivering
yes.
1 to 2 capitals a ship.
Yes.
So I want you guys to understand what you just heard. They want to get to that point where they can get 1 to 2 capitals out a year. They are not to that point right now. So we're probably not going to get a capital ship this year. I just want to make that very clear. My opinion is that we will not get the RSI Galaxy this year. Okay? As much as people want that ship, I highly, highly, highly doubt we are going to get the RSI Galaxy this year. And I'm not sure if it's on the roadmap or was on the roadmap, but one of the things that you have to do, and Grumpy Eye is the one that pointed this out, if you really want to know what's going on the roadmap, you need to click on who's working on it and where it's being worked on. That will give you a very good indicator as to how far along they are on that particular project. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Okay? Just because it shows up on the roadmap and it says it's in production doesn't mean it's in white box, doesn't mean it's in gray box. It could mean that it's only in artist concept or pre-production. If it's in artist concept or it's in pre-production, it means it's probably going to be a few more months before they even get it to white box, if they get it to white box. And just because they get it to white box doesn't mean it's going to be fast-tracked through to being done for the next event. The only ship that I will say right now will be done for the next major event will be the Sankoi Tai or whatever it is, the alien bug ship. That will be out and available for Alien Week. What is it, in like 2 months, a month, something like that? That'll be out. I guarantee you that'll be out. But there will be no capital ships this year. I would put a bet on the fact that there's not going to be a capital ship this year. I think it was Grumpy Eye pointed out in one of his chats that the last capital ship to be put out was the 890 Jump, and that was released, I believe, in the spring or summer of 2019. So it's been almost 4 years.
We're not saying that we are at that point.
We're not at that point yet. We're building to that point. So the last few months we've been starting to expand the team, which people have probably seen with the introduction of the Montreal vehicle team. And we're also looking for more artists in the UK. So if people are watching,
yeah, and any
please apply.
You know any good leads?
Yeah, any lead artists watching?
To replace Corey.
Yeah, give us a shout.
A little plug.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. A lot of these shows do serve multiple purposes, and they're absolutely, from the conversations that I have to have with the talent acquisition team every single week, they're definitely a hiring tool.
Run the ads and basically just run our.
This is the ad.
Our page.
Yeah, okay. You're presenting it to these people who it would be that they're working with.
So they're saying that they need a bigger team. Once again, here's my issue with them asking for a bigger team. And I'm trying not to be super negative, but they're asking for a bigger team to get this stuff out. But haven't we been told that a majority of the team has been pushed to Squadron 42? So why don't you either, and I hate saying this, why don't you either put up or shut up with Squadron 42 and move on to what we all backed and what the original Kickstarter was, which was Star Citizen and the Persistent Universe, or drop the damn game and move on. I know why they can't drop it, because there would be lawsuits galore, but this has gone on long enough. You can't keep shooting their backlog. Their backlog is because they shot themselves in the foot. And the problem is every time they release a new map or a new ship, Call of Duty or whatever, I don't know what I'm thinking right now, but every time they put out a new ship, they're not letting the bullet hole in their foot heal. They're shoving their finger back through it and jiggling it around, causing mass bleeding again, because they just got further behind on their backlog. So now we need to hire more people for the backlog ships. That doesn't make sense to me. Porkchop just pointed out. So this year, we're not going to include IAE. They released the Storm, the Fury, and the Lynx all this year. Couldn't have those resources been used on ships that are currently sitting in the backlog instead of on new ships? I understand why they did it. They need new money to come into the project. I am the minority here. I think the Fury, as cool as it looks, is a waste of time, is stupid, shouldn't have been made. I think the Lynx, although it was announced in 2014, is also stupid, was a waste of time. And the Storm, while it does look cool, it is once again, it's another waste of time. What do we actually need a light tank for right now in current gameplay? We don't. We don't. So, I'm going to skip over the BMM. So for those that don't know, the Banu Merchantman. The Banu Merchantman has been a long-standing point of contention between the fans and the backers and the developers. It was announced, I believe, 10 years ago. Hasn't been... Time has not been kind to the Banu Merchantman. It's been worked on, stopped, worked on, stopped, worked on some more, then stopped. Well, I have some bad news. Okay. I'm not going to show it on here, where I'm not going to let them discuss it for 10, 15 minutes like they do. But here's the bad news. Last year, they had a 9-man or 10-man team working on the Banu Merchantman. They're all gone. They're all gone. They had another team come in of at least a couple of guys, and they started working on the Banu Merchantman again. Those guys left. So now the Banu Merchantman is once again been taken off the roadmap, has been put on the corkboard wall with all their other backlog ships, and it's got a pin in it indefinitely right now. They need to rehire a new team, and they're going to get in. Like I said, I'm not going to react to them for 15 minutes discussing the Banu Merchantman and the people that came, the people that left, and the fact that they're now rehiring for the Banu Merchantman again. But that's where we're at with the BMM. The Banu it's off the tables for right now. So those that came here expecting me to give you good news about the Banu, I'm sorry, it's bad news. It's off the table. It's probably not going to happen for another couple of years. Michael, welcome to the stream. It's difficult for me to take this development seriously. Like it or not, the developers need to pay more attention to weapons tech. There are too many things that exist now that aren't in the game. Oh, I agree. There's another streamer, Marcus Wynn, and that's on YouTube, and then another streamer named Canop, who's on Twitch. We've made fun of the fact that grav boots, which once again, those were introduced in either 2015 or 2016 at a CitizenCon. Those haven't made it into the game, and we call that lost tech. We also call polarized windshields lost tech, along with night vision. Night vision is also lost tech. So, you know, it's 2953, but we lost a lot of tech along the way. All right, I'm going to skip this forward to the next big spot.
So let's go to we got next two questions are some of those perennial questions here. First, when is ship modularity?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even need to read it, do I? But it says, has there been any progress on modularity since it was last talked about?
Yes. Good news.
So he said yes. Now we all know. Once again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on these guys, but we all know how much of a sore point this has been from the backers and the fans about ships not having modularity. I don't know if you guys know this. Some of you may not. Did you know all three variants of the Cuddy Black aren't even supposed to exist? Those were supposed to be modules. The Vanguard series, modules. The Retaliator, modules. RSI Galaxy, modules. The Carrack, modules. I'm sure there are more ships that I have forgotten about or don't know, because there's what, like 240 or 250 ships that exist. Some of them done, some of them on the backlog, but there's a lot of modular ships, and a lot of people pledged so that they could have the ability to swatch out the modules. So
news at last.
Good news.
Well, we'll be the
Good
judge
news.
of that. We'll be the judge of that.
So
you ready, chat?
You ready,
Eyes on the track, guys. Come on.
Yep. So with the development of the Hull C, we've pretty much figured out the last hurdle. And in fact, Chris is responsible for the test that I got him to do for it, where we can have object containers, which is the interior collection of assets, loaded as an item, loaded onto the ship, because that's how the rear of the Hull C is attached to the ship and moves with it. What had stopped us technically going any further with this was items inside those object containers couldn't talk to the vehicle it was connected to.
Right.
So the example of the Retaliator, the torpedo droppy arms, they're actually part of the exterior of the ship currently, because that's the only way they can work. So if we allowed you to swap the modules, no matter what module you had, there'd be a pair of torpedo arms dangling through the middle of it. Chris did a test where he attached a load of missile racks and torpedoes to the inside of the back of the Hull C.
Now that would be hilarious.
Wait, you're saying we're not having a torpedo Hull C?
Yeah.
There is a shelf that says "Do not submit" in very large letters.
And the pilot had full control of that, and they could fire them. So after the Hull C ships, and we found any more quirks with that setup, we're in a position where, to my knowledge, touch wood, technically there's nothing stopping us doing modularity now.
I want you guys to really take in what he just said. There is nothing technically stopping them from ship modularity. Let that sink in for a second. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to repeat it. There is nothing technically stopping them from ship modularity. I'm going to let him continue before I give you my opinion.
That was the last big hurdle for it.
There's nothing technically stopping us from doing it, but there's also priorities and
There might be
things, and
logistics.
building a team.
Nothing technically stopping us.
Yeah, nothing technically stopping us. Yeah.
So what I heard was that Hull CMX at Citizen Gun.
Oh yeah, just full of size 9 torpedoes.
All of the cargo arms are just full of torpedo racks that just fire out.
All right.
Okay, so that's where they're going to leave it. That's where they're going to leave it. They're not going to give you a when. They're not going to give you a where. They're not going to give you a how. But they technically have nothing stopping them from ship modularity. They made it past the last hurdle. You heard John Crew say it. They made it past the last hurdle. Let's take some bets. When are we going to actually see ship modularity? When are we going to actually see it? I'm trying not to shit on these guys. I really am not. But when are we going to see it? When are we going to see the ship modularity? And what ship will it be? I don't think they have any plans to get any ships with modularity out to us anytime soon. And I don't think they have any plans to actually have any of the modules ship with that particular ship. So let's say they do get let's say they do get the RSI Galaxy out, or they do get one of the older ships on the backlog with modularity out. I don't think you're going to see those modules come out with the ship. I think we are still quite a ways away from them actually jumping onto ship modularity. Their backlog, as I said, somebody did the math, it's 40 years worth of labor. That's not linear. That's not linear in a straight line. That's just 40 years of combined labor to complete all the ships. That was last fall, and that was at their current staffing. I don't know what their current staffing is now. I think it's up to 900 or 1,000 people now, but you know, and that's the thing that scares me, Jim. That comment right there. Why make it modularity when you can just charge for another variant? That's what scares me. Squirrel, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope it's 2 years. I really do hope it's 2 years. And I hope in those 2 years we get Squadron 42, because they need to put up or shut up about that game now. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. When I first became a backer a year ago now, I didn't know what Squadron 42 was. It took me about a month, maybe 2 months of playing the game before I realized there was a standalone single-player game. I've told the story before, but that's not what I pledged for, and I would assume about 70 to 90% of the people that actually play Star Citizen never actually backed for Squadron 42. It's Star Citizen in the persistent universe. That's what we want. So it's time to get the game out. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, and let's go. We got to get this. We got to get the ball rolling. Where are we at? Let's let them continue for a minute.
Next one, we're just going to put the camera right on John Crew. Physicalized damage. This has been.
This is a good one.
This has been one of those, when we talk about things that hold up this system or that system, the idea of bullets and ballistics and everything passing through and damaging the components within a ship has been linked to be the keystone to so many other developments. Anything you can tell us about physicalized damage?
Good news part 2.
Oh.
So it is really under heavy active development at the moment. So physics team
that's
have done
good.
A lot of work in the last 6 months on it. We're now at a point where other feature and gameplay teams have joined them to sort of work out the quirks with it. The vehicle content team have provided assets of ships set up in this new way of doing things. Should caveat this, it's not a vehicle thing, it's an everything thing. Every destructible system in the game will use this. So whilst everyone sort of uses the vehicle example of like, bullets going through ships, it replaces the prop breakable system, it replaces the environment breakable system.
Cool, we're going to have asteroids that blow apart.
Damage system, there's another one I forget. So environment teams, prop teams, vehicle teams.
Hopefully the ground
working
gets big craters when you drop a size 10 Moab on it.
Bunch of use case scenarios that are with the engineers.
So it's more like an overall destructible physics system.
Yes, yeah.
My question is with persistent entity streaming and the amount of shit we already have in the game that people drop off and leave everywhere, and garbage that we can't clean up anymore because we can't use tractor beams in stations because, why allow the players to have fun in a station with a tractor beam? How much more pressure is this going to put on the server? How many more memory leaks are we going to have that's going to cause us 30K? That's my question. This all sounds awesome. Like, I want to be able to blow apart an asteroid, not with a mining thing, but I want to be able to shoot a size 9 torpedo at one of those freaking continent-size asteroids and watch it just blow into pieces. I want to drop a size 10 Moab and watch a giant crater form from where it hit. I want to see all of that. I want to be able to shoot my laser repeaters or my I forget, it's not the Scorpion. I forget what the size 2 is. Maybe the size 2 is the Scorpion, and or the AD5M or whatever it is, the big ballistic Gatling you can put on the Vanguards, and shred a ship to pieces and, you know, have that guy hit me up over comms and be like, you just shredded the shit out of my plane. I got nothing. Or my ship. I got no power. I got no shields. I got nothing. Stop shooting me. I'll give up. I want that gameplay to happen, but at what cost to the servers? At what cost? The ship thing, I think, will be easy enough to do. It's the environment that concerns me. And if they're this far on the physical damage, does that mean we're going to get armor soon? Is it ship armor going to be a thing soon? And if ship armor is a thing soon, does that mean they're going to go back and rework body armor for a person? Because I think that would be the next step in that. Oh, EMP bombs would be awesome. Cluster munitions, laser guided munitions, hell, even fly-by-wire munitions where you got to control it like with a little camera and stuff. That would be really cool stuff.
People have probably heard the word maelstrom in various monthly reports and pieces.
Checking whether that's legit or
it's
not.
I'll
wipe the board when we get back.
Right.
So that's the name of that overarching system. It's definitely been said.
I mean, in all offense, it's just the name for the system that they already knew was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not a ship. It's
but by giving something a name, you give it power.
But it's more than just the physicalized damage for
That's
ships.
true, Johan.
It is a global, destructible physics system that we're not going to sit here and commit to it being applied to every single element of Star Citizen.
No.
There's always going to be performance considerations. But you develop the system, and then you start to see where you can plug it in and apply
You'd find use cases for it. It'd be like a general system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, so they are saying there's going to be limitations to it. So, okay.
Hi, Chris. Let's see, what else we got? Ship tractors.
Yeah, we're going
tractor beams
to
were recently brought up again.
ship tractors. I mean, it's cool, but that's not what a lot of us are here for. And I kind of went over it already. We're going to jump in right here.
Doing it for Squadron first, and then it'll work its way into the P when we're happy with what we need to do for Squadron.
That's pretty good, Johan. Yeah, I agree.
Would there be a way to dock a reclaimer to a station in the future to avoid needing to go down to the planet to retrieve it?
So we want
this is very important. I'm going to back it up another where are we at here? I'm going to back it up just a little bit. I want you to hear this question that they're going to ask, that is asked, because it leads into the backlog.
To say it's not really got MFDs to the right metrics anymore.
Right.
Doing it for Squadron first.
Same
and
squirrel.
Then work its way into the P when we're happy with what we need to do for Squadron.
Okay, listen up, fellas.
Would there be a way to dock a reclaimer to a station in the future to avoid needing to go down to the planet to retrieve it?
So we wanted that originally for the original implementation of the docking collars, but we found that the current positioning of the arms and the engines were off. So we're going to have to go in and fix that, as well as I think we found the actual doors were the wrong size as well. So we need
the
to
door
sort
is
that
just
as well.
some random
we looked
door.
at that and we did some work towards.
No, we wanted to do it. We just didn't have time when we were doing all the other salvage work.
So I don't know if you guys heard that. Eventually it will dock. But you heard that though, right? The arms and the engines are in the way and the door is the wrong size. So you know what that means, right?
It's wanted, but it's going to require changes to the exterior, the physical arms and everything, which are very complicated mechanisms. So it's a big time investment. So it's something that's going to get done, but it's when we can find resources to actually do it. Because, like you said, with the ramp up, every time we try and expand the team, we're losing resources to actually train the new people that are coming in.
So complete rework for the reclaimer.
Complete rework.
I was trying to make a joke and then I got the names mixed up.
There's certainly a lot of
pretty
room
much
for
going to be a
improvement
complete
with the reclaimer.
Like the rear cargo lift and everything needs
the whole rear section of everyone's favourite multi-stage elevator.
Wait, did you say Starfare or Reclaimer?
Reclaimer.
Okay, so Starfare is perfect.
Starfare is not perfect.
The Starfare is having its insides pulled out, redone completely.
So you got, I don't know if you guys are catching all of this. They basically said the entire exterior of the Reclaimer is going to have to be redone, along with the back end of it is going to have to be redone. So that's how basically the entire ship is getting reworked. And then you heard what they just said about the Starfarer. The Starfarer, they're going to go in and completely redo the interior of it. So I don't know how much time that equates to. I don't know how much time that equates to when they are doing these kind of reworks. But that's a lot. That sounds like a lot of time. Just by looking at their faces, it sounds like it's a lot of time.
Can I watch that? Can I watch you?
Stream it pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
We have personal feelings too. Let's see. We talked a lot about the capital ships. Things like this. One of the most voted up questions here is about the Polaris. Simply put, is the...
Sorry for pausing yet again. I've seen on Spectrum, I've seen on Reddit, it's been brought up in my chat, it's been brought up in other people's chat, that the Polaris is on the roadmap. And I've heard I don't know who said it, but somebody was like, oh, it'll be done in the next 4 months, 3 to 4 months it'll be done. I saw on Reddit, they were saying 6 months it'll be done. By IAE, it'll be done. I want you guys to once again, pay attention. This is why I said you have to make sure you click on the thing when it's on the roadmap.
The Polaris actually in production. It shows that it is on the progress tracker, but the Apollo was once on the progress tracker at one point as well, and priorities change, and yada, yada, yada. So we'll go to Camera John here, but there's one. Camera John. There we go.
John, the question.
That just sounded like Ben wanted the question.
No, I didn't.
You were talking crap.
I think it's only fair.
Ben.
All right.
So is the Polaris in production?
I'm going to start with the Apollo.
Let's talk about capital ships and when they're in development. So Apollo.
The Apollo is now a capital ship.
Yeah, it grew so much. All right, we'll talk about the Polaris. So the Polaris is I'd say it's more in pre-production. Like, we are spending time investigating it at the moment, as we've already kind of hinted on.
The Polaris is in pre-production.
When it comes to doing our capital ships, we want to make sure that we're tackling them in a way that allows us to scale up to not just do one capital ship, and we can tick off a few more from the lineup. It is like literally the last couple of weeks we've been looking at it, breaking down the concept, breaking down what is involved with actually delivering it. I think what people need to understand as well is, this is quite an old ship. The concept is quite old. There's a lot of gaps in it, as Corey mentioned. So really, we're just doing our kind of our sanity check on everything, make sure we've got everything in progress. It will be going into full production
very soon.
Shortly, yeah, very, very soon.
Very soon, TM.
So it's in pre-production. They're doing all their checks, and then it's going to go into full production. That doesn't mean that it's going to go into full production next week, next month, or the month after that. Other things could take priority, and it could get bumped off. It could get pushed up in priority, and it could be done in a few months. My guess is not this year. It won't happen this year. I don't think the Polaris is going to be done this year. I would, if I was a betting man, Invictus next year, Polaris. That's, if I was a betting man, that's what I would put my bet on.
Chris deleted the old interior setup level for it this afternoon, ready for the new one. So that's how soon it is.
We are working on it.
Yeah.
It's just
it
isn't a full team on it yet.
Okay.
We're doing the pre-productions.
That's
in the pipeline last time. There's been a lot of.
So basically, pre-production means there's an artist working on it.
Not have us trip over ourselves. So it is in production in that sense.
Yeah, it hasn't started like white boxing.
Open max,
we haven't started like
the
adding assets to the editor and stuff, but we are basically doing a full breakdown of what we've got, working out how we're going to tackle it, trying to get the plans in place, and answer the questions. There's some holes in the concept which we could do with a little bit more work on, and they're a bit loose. So it's just kind of breaking down that stuff. But we're not like, we haven't got a team of artists that work on it. We have one, and then I look at it every so often, Corey sticks his nose in it, and it's just...
So he said they have a team of one.
We want to come to a point where we can come together, have a proper kick-off with the team that are working on it, and go, okay, we know what we're asking you to do, rather than being like, hey, everyone, let's have a look, click. This is cool. Yeah,
and to touch on the roadmap bit, something that often gets overlooked on the roadmap is
they definitely are.
It doesn't particularly show like people moving on and off projects or tasks. So you could have like someone on the Polaris for 1 week and they go off it for a week and then they go back on it for another week. That will show as 3 weeks continuous, or you could have one person come on, one person go off, then another person comes on, and that will show 2 people for that entire time. In conjunction with that, as part of all of our pipeline work, we've been moving away from our previous scheduling method, which is what the roadmap uses, to being more in Jira. And then, because that live updates with the data as we're working through things, and then at some point we go back and put it in there. So there is a bit of lag in how the roadmap updates. So yes, people have been working on it, but it's not like hey, we've got 8 artists working on it since 2 weeks ago when the roadmap said.
Yeah. I was going to say, like with the Apollo, because the Apollo was mentioned as well, that's pretty much what we've done on the Apollo. We had one artist working on it, doing all the pre-production work, making sure it was in a good state.
So he just said it again. When it's in pre-production, they have one artist working on it. That artist, I would assume, is scaling everything, getting the interior scaled, getting it to all line up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they move on to a round table, and then from the round table, they get their team together, they get to a round table, from the round table they go to white box, and then start moving forward down the line. But it does not sound like at any point within this year the Polaris or the Apollo is going to be done. I would assume Invictus next year for the Polaris. But, and I said that as a betting man, if I were to do a bet, that's when I would make my bet for is Invictus next year. But that we all know how influx Star Citizen is. That could be shot to shit in 3 months. You know, we really don't know.
Answering all the questions that were unanswered on it, so it's ready to go into production. It is not in production. Yeah, we haven't got a whole team of artists working on it, but we've done all that preliminary work, and that's why it's not been on the roadmap, because someone's been allocated to it, they've been chipping away at it and getting it ready.
All right, let's see. Next question says, some ship designs have flaws with component swapping.
This is another one I wanted to hit on.
How will this be addressed on legacy ships, and especially where components won't fit past doors or airlocks and things like ladders?
This is about legacy ships.
Yeah, I can go with it. So a lot of that's what gold standards for. So when we go through and do gold standards, using the
also remember, they did say, and I don't remember exactly when, I would have to look and look and look and look. In order for a ship to make it into Squadron 42, it's got to make sure it's in the gold standard format. Now, from what I understand, there's only a handful of ships that have gotten the gold standard passed on to it. And those probably even still need to be updated a little bit as well. So I want you to, once again, I want you to pay attention to what they're saying about the legacy ships, components not being able to be taken out or fit, or because of a ladder, a railing, etc. I want you to really pay attention to what they're saying here, because this, I think, should be a lot of what you're basing your expectations on.
Retaliator, as an example, a lot of the components wouldn't fit through the doors of the Retaliator as you tractor beam them out and move them, so the doors and things have been widened so they would actually fit. Another thing is what components are actually meant to be taken out with tractor beam. So it's size 3, and capitals obviously aren't meant to be tractor beamed out. You're supposed to go to a dry dock and someone else will take it out for you because they're too large of components.
Size 3 and larger,
theoretically, to get to them, you need to cut parts of the hull
Can't
out
take them
because
out.
they're just too large for a person to lift. So the size 0, 1, and 2, you should be able to tractor beam out. Doors that don't fit currently, gold standard will address that, but until we do gold standards on the interiors of a lot of the ships, there may be doors where you can't get them out, or places you can't get the components through.
There is a couple like random occasions where like we get, like as artists, like, oh, can you jump on this ship for like, you know, it's like a half an hour fix to allow you to get your components out your ship, and like we have those, we've got all of the ships like divvied up amongst ourselves, so like even though people leave and people join, there's like the list of all of the ships, and it's like, okay, you're responsible for these. So if there's a component swapping issue on like a particular ship, that like one of mine, I've forgotten which one it was, but I had to like remove around a little bit of the room. Nothing players would really notice, but like it's just enough to make the collision a bit more comfortable to move it out. So you get occasions like that where you'll get like a random like bug come through, and it's like, oh, if you've got a spare 10 minutes to do that, you quickly look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that's a really quick fix that will hopefully make your lives a lot easier. So we do try to, even though we're like,
okay, so that's cool.
You know, I'm on this ship for X amount of time, I will disappear for like an hour or two if it saves you guys the grief, you know.
Yeah. It depends on the amount of work, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. If it's like a massive overhaul, like obviously that takes.
None of the doors.
But if I can like sneak it in, like I'll try, you know.
Some of it's really quick wins, like when the ship was initially modeled, or when someone created the component base, they just forgot to like cut a hole in the collision for the components. So it's literally impossible to remove it because it's like behind the collision of the exterior. For example,
like a lot of our ships were made before we had like there was no feature work had been done on it, so we didn't know how.
So it sounds like some of these ships are really easy to fix. So I'll give them that.
We know better.
Yeah.
So that pipeline has evolved, and some of them are super quick. Some of them are like, this door has no animation. It has no mechanics to do the animation. There's just a hole behind it, and they're the ones that take a bit more time. You know, they need a proper art pass, proper design pass.
That's why they call it game development and not game construction.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Vanguard's a good example, right? Had that little railing, which from that point looked nice, having that little railing as you go up the stairs. I think so, where you just cut the railing off. It's a small little thing, easier to do, but like at the time when we did it, looked good from that standpoint. No one really thought, oh, that railing's going to get in the way of the components, because it wasn't something that people actively thought about.
Same with some of the component hatches that have doors that sort of clamshell open.
Yeah.
They were done so they open it, looks nice and cool, and like, yeah, it'll fit out there.
You can get
but then when it comes to actually taking it out, they're a centimetre not far open enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of little things that you don't spot.
Yeah. And this is the kind of stuff that happens with any video game. It's just usually they don't have a live environment in the middle of their development.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of it's just tech debt, really. Like, you know, a feature comes online, it gets proven out, and then if we have to re-implement that into a bunch of like existing assets, you know, we try our best to anticipate what kind of features will be coming, but we don't necessarily know how that feature will work. So, you know, part of the challenge of being sort of a team that's affected by a feature is you have to then retroactively support it, you know. So I think that's a big part of what gold standard is. These are all the features we need to support in our vehicles.
I'm wondering if gold standard
making
changes
those vehicles comply
often.
with those features.
We had it with salvage as well, right? Like,
yeah.
It was like exactly the same thing where it was like, oh, there's like loads of quick fixes we can do, or like, okay, we need to dedicate some time to this. And then when salvage first came online, we like had quite a few of us working on it to really try and like get that stuff sorted out. And other ships that were made maybe more recently, or whenever, like particular ships, you'd go to fix it and you're like, this is fine.
Yeah,
great.
It becomes a part of your, you know, your validation. It becomes a part of the like acceptance criteria for the ship. Is it needs to support this feature. So, you know, we would bring those features into the like review process.
Yeah,
and basically make sure actually, if we're making a new ship, it should, you know, should have physicalized components, etc. That all of the features that exist for the ship will be, you know, validated as a part of the, you know, review process. So it's more the older content.
I just want to know what passes for gold standard, and does it constantly change?
Kind of discovering what a ship.
it's why each one of these that we make, we get better at it.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, the rocket ships.
It's fine.
All right, guys. I'm not gonna let them go any further because like I said, we could dissect this hour and 10-minute video for 2.5 hours. I think they hit on some very good points here. You know, we're looking at that. Let me change this real quick. I gotta fix the green screen. I gotta do that. I think they hit on some good points here, like really good points. Let me see if this works. They hit on some really good points here. There's nothing really holding them back for modularity. You said that they've technically gotten past the last hurdle. The question is when are we going to get the fix for that hurdle? Or when are we going to start seeing the, how do I put it? When are we going to start seeing the, when are we going to start seeing that actually happen within the game? Or is it just going to be more of the, here's another variant? I hope we don't get that. I hope that they fix their backlog. I hope that they can get these modular ships online and get the modules out to us. But it's a question of when and are they? Another key point that I thought was really cool was the physical damage and how it's going to take how it's not going to just affect ships and ship components, but props and environment as well. So I thought that was a pretty cool conversation. It's once again, what are they going to do? What are they going to do with it as far as what's going to be destructible, what's going to be affected, and what's not, and how is that going to affect the server and the server tick rate? I hope we can get an answer to that within the next year. We know how Star Citizen moves. The reworks. That was another thing that was highlighted on here, is that it sounds like a lot of ships are going to need a rework. They discussed two ships in particular that really needed big time reworks, and that was the Reclaimer and the Starfarer. And they discussed that the engines, the engine arms, and the docking doors are they're in the wrong spot, and the doors are too small. So, and the entire cargo area needs to be reworked. So basically you're looking at an entire rework of the Reclaimer. You know, they may say it's only a partial rework, but it sounds like it's pretty much an entire rework for the Reclaimer. I'm not saying it's going to look different, but it's definitely going to function different as far as how the arms, the engines, and possibly the cargo area work. You know, we all know the issues with the cargo elevator back there. Sometimes they patch it and it gets fixed. Sometimes a new patch comes out and it breaks it again. Lastly, oh wait, before we move on from that, the reworks. No, it's too big. It's too big. It can only, from what I understand, and chat, please correct me if I'm wrong, I've only flown a Reclaimer 3 times. It cannot fit on the old pads. It's too big. It hangs off. Like, you can do it at an angle, but I don't think it'll allow the repair and restock and refuel and all of that to actually initialize with it. I think the only way that you can actually get that to trigger is to call for a landing pad and get the big landing pads. I think that's it. Also with the reworks, they were talking about how a lot of the legacy ships need to have their component doors and or what was it? The component doors, some of the collision boxes, and little aesthetic things like ladders, railings, and whatnot have to be moved, chopped, widened, have a hole put in it, or animations created for it. So it sounds like some of it is going to be quick fixes, and some of it will be really easy to do. But at the same time, it sounds like there's going to be a handful of ships that's going to be very, very difficult to do and may take quite a bit of time. And as I said, I don't remember where I saw it, but from what I understand is, in order for a ship to make it into gold standard, or excuse me, for a ship to make it into Squadron 42, it has to be gold standard first. So they have quite a bit of backlog to go through there as well. So you have the gold standard backlog, and you have just the ship backlog that they haven't started on. So we're looking at years. We're looking at decades upon decades upon decades of labor time that needs to be used. And I don't want people to think that that's linear. Like, it's going to be 42 years from now, or it's going to be decades upon decades upon decades from now. It's just the amount of accumulated labor time that it's going to cost to get all that stuff up and running. So don't jump in the comments and say, well, you said it's going to be 42 years from now. It's 42 years of compiled labor. The ship does, there's a segment I skipped over. I'm glad you brought that up, Porkchop. There's a segment that I skipped over in that, where they talked about the Carrack is supposed to have the blast shields on the cockpit, very similar to the Mirai Fury, and it's supposed to have side panel doors. There is side panel doors on there, they just don't function. that very young blonde-haired artist, he said that he's been assigned the Carrack, and he is currently working on the blast doors, or the blast things that are supposed to cover the cockpit. He's working on that. He's also going to be working soon on the doors. Now, he thought that both the blast shield that goes in front of the cockpit and the doors would be easy. He said it turned out that he's wrong. It's not easy, and he's been having a hard time with it, but he's currently working on it. So we may see that sometime soon. How soon? I don't know. Lastly, on the keynotes that we took away from that is the talk of the town, the talk of the community has been the Polaris is on the roadmap. It's coming out in the next 3 months. It's coming out in the next 6 months. You guys heard it. You guys heard it right from their mouth. It's in pre-production. They have one artist on it right now, and he is working on the layouts of the interiors, matching it up with the exteriors, and getting a bunch of other things lined up and ready to go before. And you heard how they do their ship designs. It goes from an artist lining everything up and getting it the way that Chris Roberts wants it to be, to it goes to a round table. From the round table, they start divvying things up, and from the round table, it goes into actual production. And the first step of that is constructing it and then white boxing it out. So the Polaris is nowhere. It hasn't even entered white boxing. So I'm going to say Invictus 2024 is when we might start seeing that come out, or maybe get a confirmation as to when. We know how much they hate that. And then the other big takeaway, which I did not cover in the video, but I want to cover it again, was the Banu Merchantmen, or the BMM. The BMM has been on again, off again on the roadmap this past year. And the reasons for that is late last year, they had a 9-man team or 10-man team. They've all left Star Citizen. They no longer work there. They left. As far as what they've said, I didn't hear there was any animosity or ill will or anything like that. It was they just moved on to bigger and better things, or a bigger paycheck. They started with a new, smaller team, and they said it once again. They said it on StarCitizenLove. I wasn't going to go through all of that, finding it again, and listening to them to discuss the comings and goings of their team for the 15 minutes. We would have turned it into 25 minutes. That small team has left as well. So that has been taken off the roadmap. It's back on the corkboard with all the other backlog ships, and it's got a pin in it for now. When they discussed it, they said that one of the hardest things with getting people to work on the Banu Merchantmen is they don't really have a way for an artist to draw from other ships and put it into the Banu. The Banu is a mix of organic and technological things mixed together, and getting an artist to come in and get those two things to mix together like that is a really hard thing to do, and they have to bring that artist up to the standard that they want. So I'm sorry, Banu guys, but sorry. I know it's been 10 years, but I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. We got a lot of really good information out of this. It sounds like we're moving on the right track. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of things coming out in the next year or so. It just depends. Are they going to go Squadron 42 first, or are they going to bring it out to the Star Citizen Persistent Universe first? That's what I want to know. The things that I'm looking forward to the most that came out of this discussion was the modularity and the physical damage. I think that is something that's well needed within the Star Citizen universe right now, is the modularity that everybody bought into those many, many years ago, and the physical damage that, everybody's been wanting for a long time, especially when it comes to ballistics. I think we'll see the entire game flip on its head when physicalized damage becomes a thing. And I really hope that with physicalized damage that it doesn't just affect ships, vehicles, props, and environment. I hope they redo body armor. Body armor needs some love. It really does. And maybe in the coming year we can get all of this stuff. I really poop on CIG's head a lot in a lot of these hot take Tuna Tuesdays. Don't think that I'm doing it because I hate these guys or I'm angry with them or anything like that. I want to hold them at a higher standard. Like a boss holds me at I'm expected to perform at this standard, but the boss holds me to a higher standard. I kind of do the same thing with CIG. There's the regular video game industry and their standard, and I hold them to a higher standard. And I feel that we should all hold them to a higher standard, and we should all be critical of them without being. You can be critical without being a dickhead. You can. I think too many people take it when you be critical as you are just trying to be a dick and you're hating on the project. I don't hate on the project. I want to see it succeed. I don't want to see it fail. I want to see Star Citizen become the most talked about video game in the games industry, and to be the thing for the next 25 years that people try to achieve with their game. That's what I want to see. I don't know. That's my opinion. That's my hot take. We should hold them to a high standard. We should be critical of them, but we should do it in a way that we're not being dicks about it. Love-hate relationship with Star Citizen is normal, right? Yeah, it's normal. And Michael, I think I don't know what the age range is for everybody in here, but a lot of us grew up. It seems to me a lot of us grew up watching Star Wars, Star Trek, maybe even 70s Battlestar Galactica, Babylon 5, The Expanse, all of those shows and movies. And I think a lot of us, for many, many, many years in as far as the video game sphere is considered, many of us have wanted a game like Star Citizen so that we could live out being our Han Solos, our Luke Skywalkers, our Captain Picards, our I can't remember any of the guys' names from Babylon 5, to be Starbuck, to be Adama. We that's the stuff that we've always wanted to do entertainment wise, and we want it in a video game, and we want to be able to live that on our PCs. And I think we're getting closer to that. The big question is how long away is it in reality? With that, thanks for watching. So long. Thanks for all the fish. All right, guys. You guys have been awesome today, for real. You guys have been awesome. Like, thank you for the 10 likes. We've had a lot of people come and go today. You guys are absolutely amazing. For any of you guys that don't know, I do these sign-offs periodically through these Star Citizen lives because I guess you could call me low effort low effort content, as Grumpy and Salty said that one stream. I have limited time, and when I make a video for Star Citizen, it takes a lot of time and effort to get that video out, and through editing and music added and all that stuff. Johan, awesome. Thanks for stopping by. Doing these allows me to get content out a little bit quicker. Yes, I know it's lazy. I know it's lazy, but it's what we do. It's what we do. Jim, I think you're right. I think sometimes Star Citizen gets these ideas, whether it's Chris Roberts doing it to us, whether it's a head developer off of a team, and they come up with these newer ideas and they want to implement it into the game. And I think sometimes they don't realize it's not feasible, and then they use a lot of time and resources onto that particular thing, and it ends up just falling flat, and they have to abandon it. But I hope eventually they stop doing that sort of stuff, and we can actually get a quality game, not an alpha, not a beta, but a game into our hands, and into the hands of people that are on the outside looking in and either waiting for it to become a game, or for the haters that want to see this game just fall apart. I hope in the next few years we can get a game into their hands and say, look, we told you so. We told you so. But for real now, guys, I am going to sign off. You guys have been awesome. I enjoy hanging out with you guys and talking Star Citizen all the time, guys, all the time. So for real now, I am for real leaving. I'm signing off. So long. Thanks for all the fish. Thanks for stopping by. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are at in the world. Peace, guys. Be cool to each other.